So that's $1 billion of stablecoin market cap that's gotten erased in the last 30 minutes. I'm monitoring Twitter right now, and the Luna Guard, the Luna Foundation that has the BTC, has just sent their BTC outbound. So they are probably in the process of liquidating.
So they
their
liquidated
Bitcoin.
500 million yesterday.
I don't know, but yeah, you're the one that talked to Do Kwon more recently.
Yeah, so they liquidated 500 million yesterday. Jump Trading, who is the market maker, I think, were liquidating ETH. This is a liquidation phase, and that's when somebody taps you on the shoulder and say, I want your collateral back, and you have to sell it. So in this case, it's the Bitcoin.
Interesting, because this has been much of the talk of the previous weekend is what would happen if Terra had and UST had kind of a meltdown moment. And your perspective seems to be, well, they're just like any other participant with collateral that's underwater, and the markets have to flush. We got to flush this out of the system, and then your markets go down, and then we kind of move on. So I guess, what is your take on that? Because some people are very fearful of a massive meltdown. And we should say it's not clear that UST will kind of fail.
But there's only $3 billion to liquidate.
So that's it. It's just another big whale market participant, $3 billion. It's not massively systemic risk to the crypto system or to DeFi in your mind.
No, I mean, does this change the anchor protocol? I don't know what the knock-on effects are. As you said, maybe there's more knock-on effects in Avalanche. I don't know. It's a very complicated ecosystem, Terra, so I don't really know it inside out. Much like, try and pick apart the Ethereum ecosystem. It's immensely complicated. Nobody really knows where the fault lines lie, who's got the leverage, who hasn't. But, markets like this is what they do. They find the weakest hands and drive it into the strongest hands. I mean, that's just always the way of the world. What the clearing price is, I don't know, because I don't really know how much leverage is or margin. Because this wasn't so much leverage as just the kind of margin, the collateral of this system being asked back. What does it mean for regulation?
We've had Terra on before, and the folks kind of the bull and the bear case for Terra. And there are regulators, there are legislators like Elizabeth Warren who are already biased against our industry and will be looking for opportunities to scapegoat the entire industry and point out when things go haywire. And this is a concern I have about kind of more centralized algo stablecoins. And I'm wondering what your take is on this. So let's assume this is a shit show. It may not be. Hopefully things come out on the other side. It doesn't go in that direction. But let's assume it goes in a negative direction. What do you think the regulatory impact might look like?
I think it's going to err towards, and I've always thought this, is no governments wants unregulated stablecoins. Right. They want central bank digital currencies, whether they're private sector or state sector. I think there'll be a blend. Nobody wants this. So they will use this as an excuse. And, it's probably good for people like Paxos, and it's probably good for people like Circle, and it's not so good for Tether, and it's not so good for Terra. And, the problem is if we are borrowing somebody else's currency, then we have to play their game, whether we like it or not. It's their currency. So anybody thinks that, just because we've got some algorithm, it's not the Federal Reserve's currency, smoking crack.
I mean, crypto is importing the unit of account of the dollar, right? And so I do understand that take.
Correct. I mean, it's like the SEC quashed anybody trying to do synthetics.
I mean, this goes back to the role of a Bitcoin or an ETH or like a monetary asset that doesn't have an analog to the real world, and the value of having that in the crypto system and keeping us more resilient that way, because in these cases, we are not borrowing the unit of account from any central bank.
Exactly. And I don't have an issue with stablecoins. I mean, I think they're very useful because we need to integrate from from the sovereign systems we live in to this digital Web3 world. And that's an integration tool, and it works very well. So I have no issue with that.